Welcome, you are watching Game On, and now I'm not starting with David because again he'll try to justify that there are 9 Englishmen and 2.
Four. My apologies, I thought
5.
No, 4.
4, 5.
4.
Who's the 5th one now?
There's half a Morgan, there's half a Jordan.
So, you're coming on to today. If you want to say something about, because what we learned that even the umpire, when he gives any batsman out and points the finger, it's towards the heavens, and he solemnly confesses that to the best of his abilities, he pledges that this is a fair decision. And then we also heard, we read CLR James, we saw a turmoil when top West Indian coloured players, they were asked to play under mediocrity and the white captains. And then Sir Frank Worrell was the one who actually came on the scene and led the team to Australia in 1960-61, and it changed it around for the West Indies.
I think, Doc, if you see the situation,
Yeah.
still the same.
Okay.
India-Pakistan situation,
Yeah.
the government policies are really harsh.
Yeah.
And if you ask the players, they still wanted to play.
You're talking about the South African government. When it
Yeah.
comes to cricket, South Africa, you have to clarify when it comes
Everywhere. I mean, what's going on in Afghanistan,
Yeah.
what's going on in South Africa.
Yeah.
I think they, where they get it wrong. Okay, they wanted, the colored people to elevate to the
Obviously, they wanted
So
that
why
the
can't
sense of
they
equality should prevail.
start with, playing for colored players
Yeah.
in their first class teams.
Okay.
Okay? And then it's up to the performance-based selection. When you're imposing that 4 colored has to play in your
for
national
South Africa,
team,
yeah.
then it's like, this is like the people
It leaves
around
the
the
combination
world
imbalance. This is what you want.
doesn't want to see and support your policies. They wanted to see the best of the best game,
Fair enough.
isn't it?
Yeah, this is fair. This is fair. Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, your national team represents the philosophy, the political narrative, and your country. So probably what has transpired at the back end in this history of South Africa, this was the reason that they came up with the quota system, because they wanted that sense of equality to prevail, and the colored people actually to be rehabilitated, brought to the mainstream, and allowed them to compete with the best of the best.
But it has
So
to
again,
be,
there is
it has
another
to be
view.
the best of the best.
Yeah. So Mahaya,
Equal opportunity
Mahaya and Tini.
at the domestic level,
No,
where
but Aaqib,
there is an opportunity for everyone to perform and
yeah, but
elevate.
Aaqib, to be fair, okay, Umar Henry may not have deserved to be part of the South Africa team. He played Test match cricket fine, done. But if you see Mahaya and Tini, you see Kagiso Rabada, no, they can walk into any international
I'm not
outfit.
criticizing that. I'm criticizing the policy.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
they've been. I mean, look.
I don't
Rabada-
want any more controversies, sir.
Okay, so let's talk about England. And
No, I want to
and
help you.
Bangladesh.
I want ladies' view.
Okay.
Okay, Sana, if I correlate with what we saw with the women cricket, not only in Pakistan, but in many places, where the girls, because of the social values or whatever, they were not like free to go, play, participate, even in our own country. And then this culture started to evolve. And why we, like, telling you on your face why we respect you and many of your contemporaries is that you were the torchbearers and you broke these shackles. And now women cricket in Pakistan is coming up. It has its own teething problems. So can you correlate with what Sir Viv was saying before we went to the break?
I could totally relate to what Sir Viv was mentioning about the positives of a black team going and beating their
South
white
Africa.
counterparts. Because I remember the first time it clicked that we are not represented in the sports field was when I was 8 or 9 year old, and I was in a school function, and we were holding posters of sports people on the stage. So when I looked around, there were 8 boys around me, and all the posters that we were holding were men. So there was no female role model for us. And I was a very sporty person from the start, and I thought that this is a vacuum. Why can't we play sport also? So from there, I started playing with my brothers, with my cousins, and that was the area that I wanted to fill. And once I was the only girl when we used to play on the streets and the teams, all of those places. But once we were able to come to the national side, a lot of people could see that if she can do it, I can do it. And then we slowly and gradually became role models. And then again it happened, being from a Muslim country, representing as also your faith, because a lot of people want to separate the two, that if you are practicing Islam, that you might not be able to do that. So we were able to be that example also. So we saw Bangladesh becoming quite a good force in women's cricket, and then whenever we would go to other countries, people would come, young girls would come and relate to us.
And that's
So I could see that how having something, witnessing it with your own eyes, what kind of impact it has.
Yeah, well, David, you were initially hired as an expert. You were invited as an expert, and probably you may well have to transform into a host, not a co-host. So would you mind winding this topic up so we move on to today's matches?
Doctor, you have control of the chair.
Okay.
You are the chair.
So now, if you want to wind it up, because wave and obviously loads of emotions are involved, you know, personal. There are personal examples, there are personal stories. So how do you see it all?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you talk to Sana as well,
Yeah.
because there are many issues in this complicated world,
Yeah.
which may never ever be solved entirely to everyone's satisfaction.
No.
Which is why when you have a sport, or sport in general, so cricket on this occasion, where the ethos has always been to try and bring people together. So this is why actually it's quite a good, just looking at this calm and relaxed studio today, you know, we have representatives of different parts of society, and we can sit here happily discussing these things without coming to blows, without losing our tempers. And that is, you know, that is how it should be, how it can be, how it should be. And then, you know, okay, then we can focus on the sport itself, because we are in a sports program where there are two important games, because we talk about England, Bangladesh.
Yeah.
For Scotland, Namibia, there is national pride at stake for both those countries as well. They have their issues, and they want to back themselves as a sporting team,
Brilliant.
as a national team, and that actually is a big clash, because they know they are the two lesser teams in this group.
So I'm supporting
bragging
Namibia. You know the reason?
Namibia is not bad at all with David Visa and
David Visa, my brother.
Craig Williams. David Visa played for Lahore.
He's
Qalandar.
Kalandar. He's Kalandar. So
I'll tell you something, and he brings energy, huh?
Yeah.
yeah,
Hypo.
great
Yeah,
character.
very
Everyone, when everyone goes down, he walks in,
yeah.
bang, bang, bang. I mean, he won us like
Couple of-
every
yeah.
season one special
Match.
So he's got great
Then
temperament.
they have a very good captain, and he's a very competent all-rounder, Jared Erasmus. They
Yeah.
have Craig Williams. So they have quite a few players, those who can really leave an impact.
Was David originally born South African? Or is he was born in
There must be the term which you use, the great
or maybe
father.
But he, if you can see the England team moving away from Namibia, and let's focus on the England
Maybe
squad.
that
David, it's David Malan, one of the finest T20 international batsmen, had an amazing run recently. Jason Roy not finding, looking a little out of sorts. And then Liam Livingstone, Moeen Ali, David Willey, Chris Vokes, Tom Curran, Johnny Bairstow, and then Sam Billings, Joss Butler, Chris Jordan. Tymal Mills, David, is unlikely to play today because Mark Wood is like...
You sure?
Yeah. This is what I read.
I saw in the Times of London that Mark Wood is still suffering from the injection, or not suffering, still getting fit again.
But I read it in one of the websites, a credible website. They said that Mark Wood is likely to play.
Can I just warn you, Doctor?
Yeah.
Stay off the web, okay? For your own good, stay off the web.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, okay, we'll wait to see what happens to us. I mean, I thought, apart from the else, I thought the other day Tymal Mills played a good part, and that's a good story in itself. His story after rehabilitation from injury, the struggle he's had to get himself fit and to get himself to this level.
Yeah.
I think that's brilliant. But if that squad you saw there, I mean, the team is unlikely to change, I would have thought. But if Mark Wood plays, fine. I have no problem with that. The man who is key, I think, is Joss Butler, because he's the man who's had a bit of a break, didn't go back for the second half of IPL. He's come to the UAE fresh. He's in good form. He's the sort of man with the shots that will deal with both Bangladeshi seamers and, more importantly, with the spinners. Johnny Bairstow's in quite good form. Livingston, I mean, Moeen is in good form. So, I mean, the good news is they've got important people either at or very near the top of the order who can do damage if they get it right. There's always that big if you get it right. The interesting one will be Livingston, because if he has a good day, wherever he is, that ball can go a long, long way. He's one of these big strikers of the ball that is part of the modern game. And back home in the UK this summer in the 100, he was spectacular. So this is a big chance for him to learn more about the game at international level and against a side like Bangladesh on a UAE pitch. That's these are the challenges that we or stroke they have to deal with.
All right. So we've, like David mentioned, Joss Butler, even Jason Roy. Now we have seen that England, they have virtually transformed their method of play. In your times, you used to come across more tenacious, workmanlike, orthodox, technically correct English players. Other than David, because David always had a natural flair. And Ian Botham, to some extent, that he also...
So what are you saying, that I was technically organized?
You were a genius, so please, don't make yourself an example. We call it openly, and it's not a secret that people like you, Sir Garfield Sobers, Don Bradmans, they just come once in a lifetime. But now, does it make you happy to see that even England, they have just turned it around?
Listen, England, in my opinion, I've always felt England have always put out a very good team. Just recently, I think they would have been successful winning the ODIs. And I felt they should have had success long before that, because the teams that they have put out, quality, and it's always been a team, in my opinion, that bats long.
Yeah.
And when you have a team, especially with the all-rounders that sometimes you possess, you expect great things from that particular team. But England have always, in my opinion, put out good teams, but underachieved, which have underachieved. Would that be fair?
In general terms.
Yeah,
in general
yeah.
terms. The closest we came in my time, so which is basically the same sort of era.
Potential Cup.
Yeah, the World Cup.
Yeah,
This,
finally
as it
played
were, the
in
proper
the
World
final.
Cup. We were semi-finalists. We final in '79, where we got well beaten by West Indies, but we kind of expected that.
I remember one thing, sorry for the interjection, that probably there were reports that Clive may well have deliberately dropped Mike Brealey's catch.
No, that wasn't Mike Brealey.
Yeah.
That happened to be Jeff Boyd.
Jeffrey Boyd.
Jeffrey Boyd.
Yeah. Jeffrey Boyd,
And
yeah.
funny enough, I can remember that whole story
Yeah.
because I was the bowler.
Yeah.
And I put up my little Mickey Mouse stuff. And if you ever speak to Jeffrey Boyd, any little off spinner, you always felt that was Mickey Mouse stuff.
Yeah.
He even said at times that even his grandmother would be able to play that.
He's used that line
Used
for
that
about
line
70
many
years
times.
now. Yeah.
And I remember I chucked this thing up and he chipped it to Clive. And Clive sort of stretched and dropped it. And I'm angry. And I'm looking even up at my skip and I'm saying, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And Clive looked up at me and he just winked his eye. I sort of got the message quickly. The longer he stays here, the better it would be for us.
Well, he wasn't wrong, anyway.
and he failed miserably in that World Cup final. He scored-
Let's focus on it.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the real things.
But not now, but we will discuss, because I saw one of the documentaries and I even went and saw the gentleman Collis King. We will also like to talk about such cricketers, those who became enigmatic because of many other distractions in life. And I think probably Collis King was one of the finer all-rounders from West
I wouldn't
Indies.
say he's one of the fine.
No,
he,
not fine.
he bowled a little
Yeah.
seam up and wasn't that consistent with the bat.
Okay.
But when he got going, he's one of his individuals. See ball, hit ball. And in that particular final in itself, I can remember.
He got about 85, yeah.
You know, I was waiting for someone to actually give me some sort of security that everything was going to be all right. And College just came and smacked it to all parts of the ground, which was a great relief to me. When he got out, I think he got out in the 80s. Then after, I would have seen so much. I think it was a bit of teamwork between him and myself. There wasn't any competition or anything like that against one another. But just to continue the job, which he would have tried and finish the job that he would have started. But it was a magnificent knocky play. He just hit it to all parts of the ground, which was of great relief for me at the other end.
Yeah, and we will not forget that last ball flick over fine leg for us.
That's short boundary again.
Like hand a short boundary.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could see the
Like playing
Bangladesh,
shot.
Yeah.
if you could see the Bangladesh squad. So we have Mahmudullah, the captain, and Shomer Sarkar, who played the first match in the qualifiers and then was replaced by Mohammad Naeem Sheikh, who is in good form. Shakib Hassan, world's finest T20 all-rounder. Afif Hussain, Mahdi Hassan Miras, Mohammad Saifuddin, Mushfiqur Rahim.
He's been replaced. Mohammad Saifuddin has been replaced by Rubul Hussain.
Okay.
He's got a back injury.
Okay, so Azhar Mahmood will not like this because he loves Mohammad Saifuddin.
And I'm surprised that Rubel is always a better bowler than Saifuddin or anyone else.
So he's
He
now
should be.
So he's
in
now
the
back. He's
first
now back.
stage.
Yeah, he's now back.
Yeah.
And we have Nurul Hassan,
So now
Mustafizur.
they got the same sort of bowling attack which hurt England in 2015 in Australia.
Oh.
Oh, David, this is just,
Tuskin,
Yeah, no, but
Rubel.
can I just say, in response, that those instances of pain and embarrassment to England
Yes.
are what drives someone like Owen Morgan forward. I mean, he
Yes.
was, again, talking about transformation, what Viv was talking about earlier. Owen Morgan was given that World Cup side in 2015. Wasn't his side. He was installed as captain at the last moment. They had a terrible time. He vowed to change that. And he has. So for the last 6-7 years now, he has built a 50-over side and now a 20-over side. He's built a culture which works and which will be tested today. I mean, this is the thing. One thing that I thought of earlier, he will not take anything for granted. Any stage of this tournament, however good that side looks on paper, he will have that message loud and clear to his players every day, today especially. You take nothing for granted.
And we saw that in the first match also, the way they were looking at the run rate from the first match, even though they were winning comfortably, but
Yeah.
they changed the batting orders in order that they finished the match well. So I second that.
So there's no doubt. I mean, look, the way England transformed their white ball cricket since 2015, because look, T20, first few years, the board and
they were not taking it
they're
seriously.
not, they were not taken seriously, but now they realize how important it is. And it's a
commercial
proper,
importance
it's
and
a
it's,
proper cricket, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where I think they didn't quite take it seriously when we started in 1978 in Australia World Series cricket.
Yeah.
Because even the coloured gear, they were rather reluctant to put on. They all came out in their whites. I'll never ever forget that. It was Mike Braley who was the captain at the time. But then, as you can see, the coloured gear brings money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the whole transition in terms of what took place with the white ball. England sort of buying into it in a very big way. And as you can see what's happening in England now, the 100 ball, the colours and all that stuff.
Even the T10, I tell you, T10 is the toughest cricket. You got 6-ball challenge to a batsman. If you miss out even 2 ball,
You're gone.
and as batsman you are nowhere. It's so frustrating
Getting,
for the batsman as well. That oh God, the challenge is
The
100.
batter. The batter. They made us change batsman to batter. Okay.
I don't think it's law, anyway.
When did it?
Just
when
remember
did
the
that happen?
white ball and coloured clothing.
Recently.
Coloured clothing was a happy accident and a very good accident because of the subsequent commercial benefit. Because you couldn't see the white ball against a white
Yeah, exactly.
clothing.
So it was
clad
coincidental,
player.
basically.
So someone said, "Okay, well, we need to give them coloured clothing." You guys didn't like the coral pink, I don't think,
I'll
particularly.
tell you, it was nasty pink. It was a nasty pink. Because I'll never ever forget that too, David. You know what the Aussie crowd can be like.
Yeah.
and no one, even Clive, who was captain, never wanted to walk out first. Guys were pushing one another. And as we set foot on the field, I can remember you could hear the whistles, the cat calls, and all that sort of stuff. You felt rather funny. Soon we had to change that, because it was the most shocking pink that you can ever imagine.
It's the color of life.
David, no, he hasn't got pink
Not
on
today. I've got red socks, blue trousers, white shirt, red, white, and blue. We're good. We're England.
Multicolored.
Well, England colours.
England colours.
It's just the same about the players.
Do you see any, because what we have seen of Bangladesh, whenever they are pitted against the better teams and they're up for a challenge, they tend to lift their game. So you're thinking that today is the occasion where we can see Shakib Al Hasan and Mushfiqur Rahim and Mahmudullah coming to the party?
Of course, they will have to lift their game if they have to fight a very formidable England side. What surprised me in the last match that Shakib Al Hasan didn't bowl all his overs, even though they were short. I mean, the match was really close between them and Sri Lanka. So I think the quality of captaincy will have to be much better.
Redressed.
Yeah, it has to be better. The best batters need to play most deliveries, and the bowlers need to be utilized well, because I think with such a close match against Sri Lanka, Shakib bowling just 3 overs, not having bowled the 4th over, that would have definitely impacted some of it.
So do you want to say something quickly on Namibia and Scotland?
Namibia, Scotland we seen the other day.
Yeah.
Namibia, I know only few players.
Yeah.
David Wiese,
Yeah.
and he's got the ability to change the game by himself.
So you think that Namibia
And
can really
England and Bangladesh, since they are playing in Abu Dhabi,
yeah.
the pitches will be different,
Yeah.
and I think that pitch will suit England.
Okay. So wait, any word on Namibia and Scotland?
Well, it's the two teams, who are basically fighting to be with the big boys.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a good encounter.
Yeah.
It should be a very competitive match. The two teams are of the same standards
All right.
of where they would have come from to where they're at now. So it should be pretty much a very
Probably
interesting
Scotland
match.
more organized, coming from a more organized structure. Namibia is evolving.
Probably.
Yeah.
But the context is that both of them have come through the qualifying. They've arrived at the main part of this World T20. They want to be the side, each one of them wants to be the side not embarrassed most, granted they are likely to lose to everyone else. So this is their championship.
Yeah.
This, in effect, is their final. This is their championship.
That's a good call.
Thank you very much, David. So nice of you, Sir Vivian. And of course, it's always a pleasure. You would like to continue in the Urdu part, or you are a little skeptical after yesterday?
No, I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you very much, Anna.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure. Game on, and we'll be right back with our Urdu panel.